Hello and good morning.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Welcome to Let's Talk About Us. I'm Zach, and today we are covering a story that the left did not report on, either because they didn't want you to hear it, they weren't interested in it, or it didn't align with their agenda. Me personally, I can give you 3 reasons why they wouldn't report on this, and they all rhyme in Zionism.
Pelosi, the Zionists.
We're using Newsweek. It has 2 center media ratings as well as a lean right rating, 1 high factuality rating as well as a mixed factuality rating, and it is owned by the media conglomerate IBT Media. Turkey cuts off relations with Israel.
Shocker.
By Michael D. Carroll and Amer Deftari. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan announced that Turkey has officially severed relations with Israel, according to reports in Turkish media. News outlet Medya Igi reported Erdogan to have said, "We, as the state and government of the Republic of Turkey, have cut off relations with Israel. We do not have any relationship with Israel at this point." Erdogan made these comments to journalists aboard his plane following his recent visits to Saudi Arabia and Azerbaijan. Erdogan highlighted his condemnation of what he termed genocide in Gaza and Lebanon. He emphasized the urgent need for humanitarian aid and an immediate ceasefire. As you know, intense efforts are being made to keep the pressure on Israel alive and to take coercive measures against this country on the basis of international law. We show it, he is reported to have said. At the time of writing, the Turkish embassy in Tel Aviv is still operating, and Jerusalem has not made any official statement about Erdogan's comments.
Suspicious, very suspicious.
The Turkish president has positioned himself as a vocal critic of Israel in recent years, and his latest announcement marks a sharp escalation in diplomatic tensions between the 2 nations. He has urged the United Nations and other international bodies to take stronger actions to ensure the free flow of essential supplies, including food, water, and medical resources, to those affected by the ongoing conflict. Turkey has positioned itself as a key player in the regional efforts to provide aid to Palestinians and refugees in neighboring countries, offering both logistics support and political advocacy. Erdogan's declaration of severing ties with Israel also comes at a time when Turkey is seeking to strengthen its relationships with other regional powers, notably Saudi Arabia and Azerbaijan. His recent visits to both countries were seen as part of an effort to recalibrate Turkey's foreign policy and enhance its influence in the Middle East and Caucasus. By distancing Turkey from Israel, Erdogan is signaling to shift toward more supportive ties with nations critical of Israel's policies. At the same time, the announcement is likely to have broader implications for the geopolitical landscape in the region, while Turkey's decision will likely reverberate through its alliances with NATO and its role in the ongoing Syrian conflict. Turkey's foreign policy moves, especially in the context of Middle Eastern affairs, have often been a balancing act between opposing regional factions. The severing of relations with Israel is part of Turkey's long-standing support of the Palestinian cause, which has been central to Erdogan's foreign policy for over a decade. His government has frequently denounced Israeli military actions in Gaza, calling for stronger international measures to hold Israel accountable for its treatment of Palestinians. Erdogan's rhetoric has struck a chord with many in the Muslim world, positioning Turkey as a vocal defender of Palestinian rights and a prominent advocate for ending the Israeli occupation.
Your occupation here has ended.
While the diplomatic break with Israel may have consequences for Turkey's relations with Western allies, including the US, it also reflects the increasingly assertive role that Turkey is taking in shaping Middle Eastern geopolitics. And that's the end of the article. And I know they have a video here, but Newsweek does have that lean right source. It is not fully a central source, which means I am more suspect of them leaving something out. So I'm going to try and find the actual video for you guys to see if anything was cut.
Let's watch.
All right. I couldn't find any sort of video of what he actually said on the plane to the people he was speaking to, just because it happened so recently. But this is from a month ago, and this should not surprise us at all that this is happening.
There are those who criticize you, Turkiye, for providing a home for Hamas, who the US say are terrorists, and you say that you are opposed to terrorism.
Şimdi biz teröristlere karşıyız.
We are of course against terrorism and terrorists.
Hamas'ı
But
iyi tanıyan liderlerden bir tanesi.
I'm one of the leaders
Hiçbir zaman ben
who is
Hamas'a terör
real
örgütü
familiar with
demedim.
Hamas, and I never called
Ve
Hamas a
şu
terrorist
anda da
organization.
Hamas'a bir terör örgütü
And
olarak bakmıyorum.
I don't approach Hamas as a
Zira
terrorist organization
Hamas
now because
Topraklarını
Hamas
koruma gayreti
is
içerisinde olan
spending efforts in
direniş
order to protect
grubu.
their motherland, and they are
Dolayısıyla
actually
böyle
a
bir
group of
direniş
resistance.
grubuna ben
So
nasıl olur da
I can't call such a group of
So he
resistance
just used them as a
terrorist
resistance
organization.
force now, not a terrorist organization.
Let's look back in time, all the way down to 1947,
daha doğrusu
and up until now,
topraklarını
Hamas
kaybede
or
kaybede
Palestine,
kaybede
let's say,
bugünlere geldi.
have been losing a lot of territory,
böyle bir
and this is where we stand today.
Direniş
There will be many watching in the US who will be amazed, appalled that you could, as a NATO country, describe those responsible for October 7th as, in those terms.
incelediğimiz zaman
If you look at
perde
the
arkasını incelediğimizde de ne yazık
October
ki
7th incidents and what happened there,
bu şartları hazırlayan
we can see
nedenleri iyi bilmek lazım. Onu
the
iyi
reasons
anlamak
that prepared the
lazım.
conditions for
Ve
October
burada
the 7th to
ne
occur.
kadar acaba Filistinli şehit edildi?
I would like to ask you how many
Filistinli
Palestinians were killed.
Bunun da perde arkasını
And let's look at
incelediğimizde
the backdrop
durum
of all the
çok
incidents that
farklı
have
yerlere
occurred, and then you will see a much different picture.
President Zelensky's administration has said that part of his peace plan would be Ukraine joining NATO. Would you welcome Ukraine as a member of NATO in principle?
Amerika Ukrayna'nın her şeyden önce
The US,
NATO'ya üye
first and
olmasını
foremost,
istemiyor.
doesn't want to see Ukraine as a NATO
NATO
member.
ülkesi
And many NATO countries
Bir defa NATO'ya üye olmasını istemiyor.
don't want
Gerçekleri
Ukraine to be a
görerek
member state. So we need to see these facts.
I would
for
say
what
that's
they are,
accurate
and we
now,
need to make our minds
given
up.
who our president is.
Looking at these facts for what they are,
Heyecanla adımı atılacak olan konular
these are
değil.
not questions to be
Bizler de
rushed.
konularda kararlarımızı
And
verirken
when making our minds, when we are taking our decisions, we always take into consideration the stance of other NATO member states. We discuss those possible questions around the table and make the final decision accordingly.
But you have a veto. In principle, would Turkiye accept Ukraine in NATO?
yani şu an itibariyle
As of now,
NATO ülkelerinin
all
duruşu
the NATO member
benim
states
için diğer ülkeler
positions
için nedir ne değildir
will be important for me
gelişmelerini
and for all
takip
the other
ederek
countries.
nihai
We are going
kararımızı
to follow the developments, the deliberations, and reach a final decision
heyecanla bu
accordingly.
kararlar verilmez.
These are not decisions to be rushed in an excited way.
So you haven't decided, you haven't made your mind up.
Hayır.
No, no.
Well, that was certainly a lot. This has been Let's Talk About Us. You all have a good rest of your day, and try to keep it classy. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
See you tomorrow.